Hey y'all, it's Whitney Shattuck from the First Grade Roundup. This is part 2, my Math Ball series. In the last video we talked about how to work best in your PowerPoint so that you don't have to switch back and forth between slideshow view and normal view to interact and draw on your slides. And so now we're going to pick up where we left off. Okay, so we talked about these two, that how usually what I do is just go back and forth between them one day and then the next. I don't usually do both on the same day. Tens and ones is just there if you feel like you have to go straight into tens and ones. I really kind of discourage you from doing that. In fact, I've written a full blog post on base 10 blocks in general. That I think it's just really important to think about not rushing into that. So you can read about that, because we don't even have base 10 blocks in my classroom. So if you want to read about that, that's at thefirstgraderoundup.blogspot.com. So I'm going to go ahead and skip this one for now. You can just use this one as basic base 10 blocks if you're decomposing a number into tens and ones. But you really want to make sure that your kids have a good grasp on groups of tens first. These two slides are really going to help you a lot with that before you move into this. Okay, so the next slide is a counting on slide. You'll notice on some of these slides that I have like these little apples, or there's different theme pictures on those, and I'm in normal view now, so actually I won't be able to see it. I would have to get into slide view, slide view to see the video, but you can click on it and it will pull up a YouTube video eventually on what in the world. I don't know why it just pulled that up. Nope, should have a YouTube video that's pulling up for it. There we go. I don't know what just happened, y'all. And it pulls up just a little counting video that you can use just as a little brain break. And then this one really, the next few pages we just use where we're writing. We're not really actually interacting on this. So this is just rote counting. So I've been using the number 8 towards the beginning of school. Some people use this, the number in the box, to count how many days they've been in school. I sort of start doing that, and then I kind of jump around depending on what I need. As a side note, I'll just throw this in too, that I have used this in the past during literacy stations, or you could use it during guided math at math centers. It's a great technology station, and the kids absolutely love it. They're super focused and on task. And what I love about it is whenever I assign them to the station, I give them a number that's appropriate for them. So it's just a real easy way to differentiate. You know, it's like Susie and John, y'all are going to do 21, and then the next day, you know, Bob and Sam or whomever, you're going to do the number 135, okay? Or Cooper, you're going to start with the number 2. So it's just a real easy way to just give them a number, and then they can do the same things that they've seen you do over and over, but with their number. So you're not actually teaching 3 different activities for 3 different levels of kids. They're doing the same thing just with a different number. We usually do this whole group. Whenever I start at the beginning of the year, I do all of the recording, and then we just sort of gradually release that to the kids as they're ready. So we start with 8, and we just choral count. 8, what comes next? 9, 10, 11, 12, and sometimes I'll do something like this, you know, just to see if they're going, wait, what'd you do, you know, whatever. So there's counting on, and some of the other math balls there's counting back that you can do. And then some of the other ones have the box in the middle where you can count on or back both at the same time. It's just really great choral counting, and I know that it gets hard. I know in February you're like, I am not counting on anymore. I am done. But I just really encourage you to keep counting on with your kids. It's really important practice for them, especially with those higher numbers. Just getting that rote counting, that pattern of counting, to help them see the pattern in our number system. Then next slide, oh, this one does have count on and count back, shows you how long it's been. I have slept this summer for sure. There's a counting back video that you can do, and then you can also count back together. I do usually do one or the other. I don't typically do both on the same day, just to save time. Skip counting by 2s, 5s, and 10s. Notice there's some videos that will pull up a skip counting by 2s song, or skip counting by 5s and 10s. Kids love these. Okay, and then you're going to, I typically use the highlighter for this one. You can use whatever you choose. If you're using PowerPoint and flipping back and forth like I'm having to do since I'm not at school right now, you're going to have just the pen. But if you have the dashboard that lets you annotate over desktop while you're working, then you should be able to highlight just fine. So we do not do all three on the same day. I will say, and today we're going to count by tens, and we usually start with tens, and we start on 10. If you'll notice down here on the bottom, this has the Common Core standard that goes along with this, but then later on in the year, it will have down here, and then in my notes section, which I'll show you in just a second, it will tell you how I use that for counting. Okay, so if we're counting by tens, I'll just say, okay, friends, today we're going to start at 10. We're going to count by tens. Ready, count. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, and we count all the way down. Okay, and then we might stand up and do it on our bodies. Let's jump while we count by tens. You know, or turn to a neighbor and let's clap hands while we do those silly hand games that they love to do while we're counting by tens. Okay, and then once I feel like we've gotten that done, then we'll do the twos, and we'll do the fives, and then we'll just kind of mix them in between. And then with each math wall, I'll give you ideas on how to successfully, or how to increase the difficulty on that, starting at different numbers or counting backwards instead of just skip counting forwards, and those kinds of things. Okay, and I want to show you while we're on that topic what I'm talking about. In this notes section, I've kind of given you some notes on what to do, and this is like worst case scenario if you're having to switch between slideshow and normal view to be able to make this work. But you shouldn't have to do that like we talked about in part one. And then in the other ones, I have those suggestions for you. They're on the screen, and then they're also in the notes section too, of starting at random numbers and counting on, or multiples of tens and counting on, and that sort of thing. Okay, the next slide is true false. We love these, and I know that's going to sound silly, but they absolutely love true false. So let me show you what that looks like. This is a big part of your first grade standards in math, and so you can see it really easily over here if I get rid of that. At the bottom it says numbers only on both sides. So what I'm going to do with this unit is I'm going to use, whoopsie, sorry about that, I'm going to use numbers, only numbers on one side. Now obviously this is just a guide, so if your kids are above that and you feel like you need to move on, certainly do that. But it's just sort of a general progression of true false for you. So I might start with something like this. And you would be shocked how many first graders go, no, that's not right because it needs a plus sign. Okay, and we use the same number talk rules for this slide as we do during our number talks time, which I'll have another video coming on that also. So this is a great way to talk about how numbers, equality, and how we know that numbers are the same. Okay, 3, that equal sign just means the same as. Yes, 3 is the same as 3. They are the same. Okay. This next slide, we're comparing. Okay, so we are comparing two-digit numbers, and again, I'm going to take my 8 from today, and then I'm going to do something like this. This is always a fun one. Okay, 8 and 80, which one's the greater one? And which one's the smaller one? Which symbol needs to go in the box? These are interactive. Of course, I'm in slideshow view right now, but if you're in your normal view where you can write over your desktop, then you should be good to go. And I like to have them show me with their hands. You can make your little symbols with the hands, so I like to show them how to do that, and they love to do that and make little shadow puppets on the screen. So that's basically all there is to that one. Shortest, now I'm going to go back to my normal screen where you can interact. And I'm just going to say it again. I know I'm driving you crazy with this, but you do not have to flip back and forth like this. I am not at school right now. I'm at home. If you have a smart board and you can annotate over desktop, or Promethean board and you can annotate over your desktop, you don't have to go back and forth like this. Okay? Measurement Monday. So the rest of the slides are just that. So let me just back up for just a second. This is the last slide that you're going to use regularly. Okay. The other ones are just going to be done once a week. And that will save you some time. These are skills that really you don't need to talk about every single day. Because they're not focused standards in first grade anyways. They're supporting standards from Common Core. So we have Measurement Monday, Time Tuesday, Wacky 2D Shape Wednesday, 3D Shape Thursday, and then there's nothing on Friday. You ask why? That's because on Friday we do a short graph from one of my Graphing Palooza packets in my TPT store. And we also do a quick assessment on what our focus skill was for the week. So even though we're reviewing these skills, I'm also focusing in on one specific skill for that week. And so I have a quick assessment for that. And those assessments are also in my TPT store, my Math Quarterly Assessments. Okay, so with this, the first time's awesome, right? Because I can just use these as the same size, and I can have kids come up and move the medium, the short, and the long one. Okay, one fun thing I always love to talk about on this one is, oh, now is that one longer? You know, no, it's not, because if I line up the starting point, they're not the same length. Okay. But then once you've done that one already and they sort of know, hey, we know which one goes where, then they can do this too, and they love to do this. Change the size. I just randomly come in here and quickly just change the size. Okay, now which one's the shortest, medium, and longest? Okay, so that's on Mondays. On Tuesdays, you're doing time to the hour. Okay, so what I normally start with is drawing the time to the hour on the clock, and it should say in the notes, we'll look at it here in just a second. Whoopsie, I did not draw that very nicely. And then they tell me, what's the time? How do you know that what the time is? Okay, we want them to be able to justify their answer, not just tell me it's 2 o'clock. Okay, so we're doing time to the hour on that one. And it says it right there. I can write the digital time to the hour, so that's what you're working on. Teacher draws the analog time, they draw the digital time. Next slide, Wacky 2D Shape Wednesday. I can identify 2D shapes. And this is a nice little, I spy a shape that is a circle. And they come over and circle or point the ones that you have, okay, that are different ones. I spy a shape that's white. There it is. What's the name of that shape? Rectangle. So you can do it kind of different ways. And this also changes in level of difficulty throughout the year. 3D Shape Thursday is the same thing. I spy a cube. I spy a cylinder. I spy a purple shape. What's the name of that shape? How many points does that shape have? Okay, so just talking about shape conversations, we're really just focusing on identifying the names of the shapes. Okay, and that is my final slide on that. So Math Wall, great way to do some spiral review. I have been known to just do 1 or 2 slides a day. I've been known to do the entire thing on Fridays. Last year I was kind of crunched for time, so Mondays were kind of our Math Wall day, and we just did the entire thing and then focused on some other skill things the rest of the year during that block, or rest of the week during that block of time. But what I love about it is that you can do it, and then if you forget about it, you're out sick for several weeks or whatever's happened, you have a baby and you come back 12 weeks later, you pick up Math Wall and the kids know exactly what to do because it's just a routine that you've done all the time. Okay, this can be found in my TPT store, the First Grade Roundup. In TPT. I'd love to hear your feedback if you're using Math Wall, what's working and what's not for you. Thanks for joining me.